Have you ever found yourself wandering the labyrinth of your own thoughts? Have you ever wondered why you are wondering? If so, then you may indeed have a soul. Today, we will attempt to understand the intricacies of human consciousness and what makes us so drastically different than all other life on Earth. But first, how does one define consciousness? What do humans, animals with the highest form of awareness and intelligence, categorize consciousness as? A quick Google search tells us that consciousness is the state of being awake and aware of one's surroundings. Okay, that's well and good, but we don't seem to get anywhere with that. Almost everything on this planet is awake, and you could argue that most life is relatively aware of its surroundings. So surely there must be a threshold one must cross to be considered truly self-aware. Could this be what we refer to as a soul? Throughout history, scientists and philosophers have shared their opinions regarding human consciousness. Siddhartha Gautama, born around 560 BC, is one of the oldest examples of human interpretation regarding the soul. Siddhartha would eventually pass down his teachings, which would lead to the enlightenment we refer to as nirvana. In 400 BC, Plato would weigh in on the matter. He is credited as the first person in the history of philosophy to believe that the soul was both the source of life and the mind. He believed the soul powered the body and was the source of our moral compass. Circa 350 BC, Aristotle, another very well-known Greek philosopher, contributed to this debate. He argued that different kinds of living things possessed unique variations of a soul, and that the type of soul a life form possessed determined their level of operation in this world. He also asserted that some parts of the soul, such as intellect or one's mind, can exist without the body. Fast forward to a more modern setting, and you arrive at the prominent English physician by the name of Robert Fludd. Fludd believed that the universe was separated into three unique realms. The first realm, mundus intellectualis, the intellectual world. The second, mundus imaginabilis, the imaginary or imaginal world. And the last realm, mundus sensibilis, the material world. His now famous diagram depicts multiple pathways that connect the human brain to each of these realms and asserts that humans utilize multiple aspects of our consciousness to understand ourselves and the world. Now, what you'll notice as we inch closer to modern-day science is that, well, there is no soul. That's a leading scientific theory, at least. You see, a soul is commonly regarded as a religious icon and is therefore inconsistent with science. And since scientists cannot observe or test a tangible object, it does not exist. However, it's important to note that there are a handful of scientists that believe the human soul can be tracked to a physical location in the body, specifically the pineal gland. Throughout history, this area within the brain has long been associated with the soul. In ancient Egyptian culture, the Eye of Horus was a sign of prosperity and protection, often referred to as the third eye. In Hindu tradition, the pineal gland represented Anja, the sixth chakra, or third chakra eye. With all that being said, are we moving closer or further to finding an answer to our question? What is a soul? And what effect does it have on human consciousness? Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. I'm sure those more in tune with their spiritual side will assert that we are indeed moving away from such a discovery, while those in the scientific community assert that they have already proved their claims. For example, many neurobiologists and evolutionary psychologists claim the soul is a societal construct. Francis Crick, co-discoverer of the DNA structure, can be quoted as saying, "You, your joys and sorrows, your memories and ambitions, your sense of personal identity and free will, are in fact no more than the behavior of the vast assembly of nerve cells and their associated molecules." Supporters of Crick claim the soul is merely a crutch humanity has created to combat the fear of the unknown, the fear of dying and there being nothing. And now we can get into the different theories. I won't go too in-depth, but I believe it's important to share these ideas nonetheless. Now, some might deem these as fringe, and that's a fair categorization, but I'd be doing a disservice to those advocating for this theory if I don't share it myself, especially seeing how it's picked up a lot of traction in recent years. That theory is the extraterrestrial phenomena. Many abductees claim they have been shown or given information from the past, present, and future. These individuals often report large swaths of time missing, only to remember them years later, either on their own or through regression therapy. A recurring trend in this phenomena is the reported act of the soul leaving the body and being transported through space and time. Oftentimes, abductees will return with information they say was relayed to them mentally. Again, I'm not advocating or supporting these claims, but wouldn't it be something if we woke up tomorrow and these aliens appeared asking why we didn't do anything with the knowledge they gave us? While we were discussing alternate lines of thinking, I'd like to touch on what I call the genius theory, a theory which suggests those that make the greatest contributions to society were gifted this information by a higher power. Socrates himself stated he would partake in rituals involving a candle flame, and ideas would be conveyed to him by a voice in his head. The great inventor Nikola Tesla claimed he would receive messages in his mind with so much detail he could actually see the gears and wiring within inventions he had yet to create. Tesla would eventually send a letter to the Red Cross stating he received a message from another world. Srinivasa Ramanujan, a brilliant mathematician, would go to bed with the goal of achieving a state of lucid dreaming. During these sessions, he claimed a hand would appear and repeatedly write the equations he is now credited with creating. Lastly, multiple playwrights and composers would publicly state their work came from a divine voice and they merely conveyed what was told to them. But that's all for today. What do you think? Do you think we as humans have a soul? Do you think we are just coping with the fear of the unknown? Think about it. Alright, thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe.